Hi, I'm Ed Buckman, the head of commercial strategy at Ruleguard, and I'm here with John O'Dwyer, the CEO and founder of the business.
Hi, Ed. Great to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, John, I wanted to get a sense from you as to how Ruleguard, or Axiom as we used to be, came along.
Indeed. Yes, well, thanks for asking. It's been quite a journey. We started out in 2013. Before that, I'd run a software development agency, so I was a techie through and through. We started out in financial services software, so we were building software platforms for various different investment firms and brokers, and increasingly the requirements were about the automation of back office processes, particularly around compliance. So fast forward to 2015, and the CASS regime under the FCA was revamped, and that required firms to really step up in terms of how they demonstrated their compliance with the regime. And it was quite difficult suddenly for them to do that in the traditional way, using headcount and using manual processes. So yeah, it was quite a challenge for the firms, and we were in the market at that time speaking to firms that wanted to use tech. RegTech wasn't really a thing back in those days, or at least it wasn't called RegTech. And we developed a solution for a large global custody firm who found that the technology really helped them to optimize the way that they complied with CASS. So very quickly it went from the initial use case to a further use case, and then additional use cases followed on, and we realized that even in year one of the technology we had a bit of a tiger by the tail. So we had 10 global firms using our CASS solution, and yeah, the rest is history.
Well, good history indeed, because the company's grown from strength to strength from then. It's interesting that, is it fair to say that we were the first company to provide CASS software?
I would say so, yeah. The firm actually, the first client we had, even though they're a multi-billion-pound firm, they actually approached us. So the whole orthodoxy that you have to reach out to these big firms and develop the relationship over time was turned on its head, because they went onto Google, they looked for CASS software, they couldn't find it anywhere, and they came to us, and we had, I think, 4 or 5 staff at the time, and they had, tens of thousands. So yeah, it was very interesting. And they said to us, look, we found you guys, you seem to be the only people offering this type of solution, so let's talk.
Well, at least, we understand the rationale, or the rationale behind starting with CASS. But CASS is obviously, for perhaps some who don't know what it's about client assets and client money. Is it just a UK thing, or are there other parts of the world where this is also prevalent?
Yeah, it's a good question, and there's been a bit of an evolution, I think. As with so many aspects of compliance, the UK was seen as a bit of a leader. So the FCA defined the client asset regime, and a lot of other regions would look at the jurisdiction we have here, and they sort of saw how it played out, and it was quite quickly acknowledged that the FCA had done a very good job of defining how best to look after client money and client assets. And since then we've seen a lot of other regimes follow suit. So the regime in Ireland particularly, the CAR regime, that follows the FCA model quite closely, but obviously there are differences in terminology in some areas of focus. But it's fair to say that a lot of the jurisdictions that we talk to now globally have some form of a sort of modern client asset governance regime.
Absolutely. I think we do know, well, MiFID also has some sort of sphere about that as well, right?
That's right, yeah, exactly, yeah. So a lot of the European EU members are going to be adopting, or have adopted, that framework and have interpreted it into their local rule set in a way that suits their sort of domestic landscape. But yes, it's certainly something that's changed a lot in 7 or 8 years since we've been in business in that area.
And in terms of, if the rules are not just UK based, as a business, is your focus, or is the focus of the business primarily UK, whether it's for client asset compliance or other parts of the business? What's the focus of the business generally?
Well, I would say we have been quite domestic in the past, because London's obviously one of the biggest financial centres in the world, and that's when you've got that type of market on your doorstep, then it's hard to sort of rationalise going overseas. But I think we've probably been client-led in that respect, because quite quickly we saw that the biggest firms were the ones with the biggest challenges, and we were able to step up and help them. And they would actually approach us and say, you've done a great job for us under the FCA and PRA regimes, but can you help out, this subsidiary we might have in this region? We've got some people in Singapore we'd like you to talk to. Brazil was another area. So it was quite organic in terms of our expansion beyond UK borders. And now we're being a bit more strategic and looking at the set of financial centres and sort of saying, where do we want to be, where should we be, and where are we not at the moment. But for the first couple of years, going international was very much client-led.
That was brilliant. No, thank you very much. It was a real pleasure to get those insights from you. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Ed. It's a pleasure to be here.